How many argue with your kids? Raise your hands, come on. You argue with your kids? Isn't it neat? It really is good, isn't it? They really listen to you when you argue. Isn't that great? Let's look at arguing. There's a lot of reasons why kids argue. Let's look at a few of them. First of all, a child, when they argue, they can actually win the argument. Is that true? They can say, it really isn't my turn, and talk you out of it. Is that true? So it's possible for them to win the argument. Sometimes they know that they're going to have to do it, but they're lazy, and they just want to delay it. And sometimes they know they're going to have to do it, but they're going to make you pay for it. And they're going to raise so much heck around the house and make it so miserable for you that sometimes parents have actually said, forget it, leave the dishes, get out of here. I'll do it myself. I'd rather do it myself and have some peace than be dragging you bums to do everything. I got to clean everything. I got to do everything. Some parents say that. The kids are walking down the road. Wow, that worked. How did I do that? Get them mad enough and they kick me out of the house. Oh, got to remember how to do that. We're rewarding them for bad behavior, aren't we? But there's all kinds of them. Sometimes your kids just have you on a punishment schedule. Do you believe that? They whine and follow you around the house and they torment you until you finally give in. And they've got you on a punishment schedule. Arguing really works for kids, but arguing does not work for adults, for parents. Let's look at this. This is a little true and false test. Let's look at this. Kids see and admit their errors. Is that why you argue? Do they see and admit their error? You've been arguing with a kid for an hour and a half, and he says, hold it. I got it. You're right. Gee, I'm an idiot. I didn't realize that, Dad. Thanks for screaming at me for an hour and a half. I think I got it. Yeah, that's enough for me. Your kids do that? No, they do not. An argument is not about facts. It's about what? Power. Who's going to win? That's right. Now, why else do you argue? Parents continue to argue because it's so much fun. Let's look at the next one. They're impressed by your superior logic. Is that right? My dad is really smart. Can you just see your son talking to his friends at school? Yeah, my dad explained to me how important education was. He's really smart. I just wasn't taking real full advantage. I'm really working now. You got superior logic. You argue with them. They don't appreciate your logic. Appreciate your concerns for their welfare. Oh, Mom, if you would worry, I sure wouldn't want to worry you, so I won't go. They agree with your values. Can you just see your daughter upstairs, looking in the mirror? Dad is right. This outfit really does look cheap. Trash that. I'm going to go tell my girlfriends. They don't know. Do kids do that? Why do we argue? Are we out of our minds? They're happy with your explanations. They like your decisions. No. Parents can't win an argument. We've been keeping score. Kids 98, parents 0. Parents never win an argument. If you think you have outlasted them or argued better than them, all you've done is what? Model contention. And if they're better than you now, you better get out of Dodge City because the inmates are taking over the asylum. They'll drive you crazy. I've had mothers come down the road and they brought their kid in and said, fix this girl, fix her quick. One lady told me, she says, I got it figured out. The first 3 or 4 kids ought to be disposable. I said, that's a great idea. Let's do it. The lady brought me down this kid. She says, fix this kid. This is terrible. The kid argues with everything I say. And the girl says, no, I don't. So she argues and argues. What happens is the mother starts arguing here. Mother's a pretty good model. And then so the girl learns. And she gets better. So Mama gets better. And it gets worse and worse and worse. Pretty soon she's in there screaming and says, we didn't raise our kids this way. I says, who did? Where did they learn to argue that good? This one lady came in and she told me, this is a fact, I hate my 2 boys. I says, you're kidding. Mothers don't hate their 2 boys. They don't hate their children. Mothers love their children. Oh, no, I hate them. Deep down, I thought about deep down, I really hate them. They've made my life miserable. Mothers don't hate their kids. Mothers love their kids. No, I hate them. They argue, they fight. They won't do their work around the house about 10 and 8. I dream about them getting run over on the way home from school. I says, mothers don't hate that. Let me talk to them. So I talked to him for about half an hour. She says, well, what do you think? I says, I hate them too. They're terrible. They're contentious, and they learned it in your house. Well, they learned it from their father. Yeah. Okay, you guys get it? Why do we argue? We shouldn't contend. We shouldn't argue. Nobody appreciates it. You've been screaming at somebody for an hour and a half. They never say, I get it. Thanks for straightening me out. Let me take you to lunch. They don't say that. People don't like it. All right, there's a way not to argue, and it's very simple. Herkimer, your little kid, comes in and says, Mama, I want to go to the rock concert. Can I go to the rock concert? And what do you say? He says, I want to go to the rock concert. I'm going to go with Tommy, and we're going to use his brother's Volkswagen next door. We want to go to the rock concert down there in some place, 90 miles away, and we got to go. Can I go, Mother? And you say, no, you can't go. And what does he say? Why not? And you say, well, Herkimer, you're only 4. And does that do it? That's right, I'm only 4, I'm too low. No, I know a 3-year-old is going. Have they always got a counter? Well, you can't go. Tommy's only 5. And the Volkswagen's only got 3 wheels. We're going to get another wheel. You can't drive. Mother, I'm going to stand on the seat and stare and tell Tommy what pedals to push on the floor. You'll get killed. You'll get arrested. Mother will drive so fast they can't catch us. Have they always got an answer? Why does a kid ask why? So they can. You think this kid's trying to make a good decision? You think this kid says why? Because he's collecting data, and he wants to make a good decision. When that child asks you why, they're not collecting data. Flash, they're not collecting data. They're like the car salesman. The car salesman, when I go down to the lot, I get onto the lot. I might dream about a nice car, so I get in there, and he says, oh, Mr. Jones, you look like a real sport in that car. You think so? Yeah, you look real handsome. You think so? Yeah, let's take it for a spin. Oh, I can't do it. Yeah, well, I'll spin with it. We get back, and what happens? He says, you need that car. You need that. That car's you. I said, no, that car's not me. He said, yeah, that car's you. Oh, I can't have it. And he says, what? Why not? And I say, well, I can't afford $400 a month. He says, what can you afford? If I say 200, I bought a car. Is that right? You'll pay on it for 200 years, but I bought a car, right? I don't want this car. Well, why not? It's a beautiful car. It's a nice car. Wouldn't you go, oh, yeah, but I can't take it. Why not? I want one with 6 doors. This purple with green stripes and got silver flakes on it. He says, we got one. What's happening to my objections? If I don't be careful, I'm going to buy a car in a minute. And I said, I really can't buy one. I'm just out of jail, and I got to go back. And I don't have any credit. Mr. Jones, I'm happy to tell you, we got a special program for criminals. When that kid asks why, he's not sincere. He wants to overcome your objections and go. So every time you answer a why, you're throwing more gasoline on the fire. Is that true? So you come from power. Why can't I go? Because I'm dad, and I said so. And I'll knock you into next week if you ask me again. Power, that's not good. Logic, all the reasons, they just argue with them. Those are all landmines, aren't they? So what do you do when a kid says, can I go to the rock concert? You say, what do you say? Yeah, some people have been to my classes before. They know. Tommy said, or little Herkimer says, I want to go to the rock concert with Tommy. Can I go, Mother? And so Mother says, why do you want to go, sweetheart? Who's got the problem now? Why do you ask why? Because whoever asks why is in control. And whoever's trying to answer why is an idiot. Isn't that true? And they're going to lose. So you say, why do you want to go, sweetheart? And what does the kid say? Oh, has he got the reasons? Yes, and so you get a pad and a pencil, and you start writing down reasons. That's 10 good reasons, Herkimer. Give me some more. Is he happy to do it? You're going to pick his brains. You're going to have him fire every shot. You're going to wear him out over the next couple days, coming up with 200 or 300 reasons. You want to go? You want to go? Come up with some good reasons. Okay. Got any more? Send him to bed. He won't even sleep at night. He's thinking of reasons of what he can do. Checking with his friends, what are some more reasons? And you got them all down here. That looks pretty good, son. Who's got the problem, people? After this ordeal is done, he's so worn out, he can't even struggle much when you tell him no. Okay? They're just kind of happy to have it all over with. You know what I mean? So what happens is, you tell him, why do you want to go? And you write these reasons down. That's good. Now, when he lies to you, are you going to jump on it? You going to jump on the landmine? Well, everybody gets to go. Everybody's going. Are you going to jump on that? That's a landmine. Boom! You liar! I'm not going. Everybody's like, just say, everybody's going. Now, what you want to do is give me more. See, now what you're doing is you're sucking it up. This is the sponge. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Ooh, 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 ooh. And you just suck it all out. You're going to suck that little kid's brain till it looks like down to the size of a prune and then a little raisin. You're just going to suck him dry. He's so mentally exhausted. He goes back and just lays down exhausted. And you say, I'll check with Papa. So you go talk to Dad. In a couple of days you come back, can I go? And you say, no. No. 237 reasons that I can't go. I haven't had. Blah, blah. And then what's he going to say? Well, why not? And then you can come from love or whatever you want to do. You can give him some reasons. Say, well, it's too far. It's illegal. You don't have a driver's license. And you list them all out. Just get them all out. Get them done with. And you say, and I love you. And I was just worried to death. So Mama's got to exercise her prerogative. And then he'll say, well, that's stupid. And then you use the deflector. You say, it may be stupid. Do you argue with him? Don't you call me stupid, young man. Do you get it? Nevertheless, the answer is no. Well, everybody's going. You'll just start going over the same stuff, right? Well, everybody's going. Everybody may be going. Nevertheless, the answer is no. But I need this for my education. In spite of the fact you need this for that education, nevertheless, the answer is no. But they will refer to your IQ. They will refer to your ancestry. Regardless of my ancestry, the answer is no. Regardless of this, But I've got to go and I've got to write a report. I know you have to write a report. Nevertheless, the answer is no. Regardless of that, the answer is no. Nevertheless, and you go through the broken record. You got it? You just go over and over and over. Then pretty soon, they can't stand it. And they'll say, stop it! Will you please stop it now? Don't say that stupid word again. Nevertheless. You go to some stupid class. You learn some stupid word. And now you think you know everything. Whether I know everything or not, nevertheless, the answer is no. We've had kids just kind of stand there. How many people does it take to argue? How many people does it take to play tug of war? We've had kids that finally come back. They'll go and ask their parents something stupid. They'll come up and they'll say, Mom, can I go to the rock concert? Up at that. And mother will smile and say, why do you want to go, son? And they kind of... It just isn't worth it. Okay? Because they know it's ridiculous anyway. And mother says, well, tell me why. I'm interested. Yeah, you're interested. If they know you won't argue, is that a great plus in your favor? You will not argue. No more contention. You're not supposed to argue when you're right. Cease to contend. You should never argue. Ever, ever. It is always wrong. And it's always wrong to be angry. And it's always wrong to criticize. It's always wrong to use these terrible parent traps. They're always wrong. All right, now you unhook. Now you've got to unhook. And there needs to be a penalty for harassment because they'll follow you around the house. This little girl was coming in since age 3. She's now 13, going through puberty. And she comes in, since she's age 3, she come up in the middle of the night and sleeps with Mom and Dad in their bed, squeezes in between them. Now her feet are sticking out the bottom. And Mama says, enough already. You got a bedroom. And this girl would cry and holler, throw a tantrum, do whatever she needed, wherever she was, to get her own way. Because she knew, the daughter knew, that she was stronger than her mother. And if she tortured her mother enough, and harassed her mother enough, and begged enough, and embarrassed her mother enough, that the mother would finally crack. What kind of a situation did that have in the house? So I get this call, legitimately, people, honestly, at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hello, Mr. Jones. And I heard the screaming in the back. Mother, let me in, let me in, let me in. And I could hear it. Boom, boom, boom. Let me in, please, let me in. She says, I can't stand it. I'm ready to jump out a window. I says, who is this? She says, this is so-and-so. And you said, don't let her in. I says, well, don't let her in. If I told you don't let her in. She says, I can't stand it. You know, and the girl, she says, I can see her lips under the door. Mother, let me in. I says, give her a shot of Raid. You know. But this girl had been taught to torment to get what she wants. And mother would reward her. And mother shaped this child's behavior from just a nagging and whining till she was now horrible. And she learned it by tormenting people, torturing people, following them around and harassing them and going over their boundaries and making their lives miserable and punishing them. That's how she could get what she wanted in life. And if she did it long enough and hard enough, she would be rewarded for it. And that girl knew that if she kept on her mother long enough, that mother would finally crack. That she could yell longer than mother could stand it. Do you believe this? Now this girl's going to grow up and marry some poor slob. Is that right? And she has learned to get what she wants in life by tormenting other people. Boy, that's a sad start, isn't it? Isn't it? We can't reward people for that kind of behavior. Okay, let's go along. How many of you lie to your kids? Uh-huh. What is a lie? If I say that it happened but it didn't, it's a lie. Is that true? If I say that it is so but it isn't, it's a what? It's a lie. If I say that it will happen and it doesn't happen, it's a what? It's a lie. Past, present, and future. Can you lie about past, present, and future? You bet you can. Now let's look at this. Susie. Susie is what? How old? She's like 3 years old, and she's in the booth next door. And you're in a restaurant, and you hear the mother say to Susie, Susie, you eat your dinner, young lady, or you cannot have any dessert. Do you hear me? Look at mother. No. She's stirring her potatoes with her finger. No. Dad says, you eat that, you little stink. You want me to take you out and whip you? I'll do it outside in the car. Nobody can watch. Yeah. He reached over, tried to pinch her. Mother says, I'll handle this. People are looking over the thing. Sweetheart, you eat your dinner. You got to eat your vegetables, honey. You don't want to grow up and be ugly like Daddy? You got to roast it. No. Pretty soon, mother's begging. To make a long story short, pretty soon, mother's begging. Sweetheart, if you want to have dessert, this is the teeniest pea on the whole plate. And you take one sip of milk, one teeny bite, of potatoes, and then you can have dessert. No. Why didn't she take it? That sounds like a good deal. She knows she can get a better deal, right? Who runs the house, people? And Daddy's getting ready. Oh, let me kill her, You want me to take you out and break your legs? I'll do it. And what does he tell her? We're going to take this home. And you'll have it for breakfast. And then you'll have it for lunch. And then you'll have it for dinner. Can you make a kid eat? You can't. The waitress comes out. You people finished? Yes, take it. Does Gwendolyn get dessert? Yes or no? Yes, she does. And she got Dad's dessert too. How many of you lie like that? Is that lying? When they got dessert without eating the dinner, that was a lie. Because she said you can't do it otherwise. And Susan, this little girl, Susie, is the same. Mother says you can go with the kids on Saturday if you clean your bedroom and do the bathroom. And she doesn't do it all week. Monday goes by, Tuesday goes by, Wednesday goes by. And mothers start to get anxious. Is that right? Mothers can't stand it if they don't nag a little bit. You got to do a little nagging every day to keep your, emotions down. Now, mother's gone to the class. And so she doesn't nag. She says, I'm not going to nag. But she goes down the hall. Now, we see through this, mothers. Mothers go down the hall like this. If somebody had some place to go Saturday and they had to do something before they went, you call it reminding, supporting, suggesting, helping. What do they call it? Nagging. So mother doesn't say anything. She gets some duct tape, puts it across her mouth. Daddy's holding her in the bedroom. This Thursday comes, mother's not going to say anything. And Friday comes, she stays out. And then Saturday comes when she's supposed to go, and here comes the kids. And what does this Susie do? She comes running into mother, doesn't she? Oh, Mama, let me go, please. Well, you didn't do your bathroom, and you didn't do the bedroom, and it hasn't been done since you were 12, and we tell you. Well, Mama, please let me go. What does she say? Mommy, I love you. And if you let me go, what does she say? If you let me go, I promise what? Yes, I promise I'll make it as soon as I get back, and you won't even have to what? You won't even have to ask me, and I promise. Please let me go, Mama. Please, Mama, please, pretty please, love you. Mama gives her favorite lecture. I should have let you go. You've been irresponsible all week, you little twit. You didn't do a thing all week, and I didn't remind you. Sure enough, you fell through the crack. Okay, I'll let you go. You promise you do it as soon as you come back? And as soon as Mother does that, and the girl runs off, Mother has become a big, fat, what? Liar. And our words don't mean anything. Our words don't mean anything to us. Now, I myself am a Christian, and I don't mean to be offensive to anybody who is not. I was raised in Hawaii, where there's Asian religions and European and all the religions that were Polynesian and everything. So I'm very tolerant of all religions. And in all religions, parents are taught to love their kids. Do you believe that? And that we're to do good to each other. So these principles that we talk about transcend wealth or poverty, transcend race, transcend religion, transcend any demographic you can think of, because they all apply to all of us. So let me tell you a Christian model. Does God lie to us? We look at him as a father. Does he lie to us? Could we take an advantage? Could we look at that as an example? He put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and he told them to not eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Is that true or not? Is that what we've heard? And so he put them in the garden, and he gave them their freedom, didn't he? To choose with consequences, right? And so Eve is tempted and Adam is tempted, and they put forth their hand to take the fruit. What do we hear? What do we not hear coming from heaven? Do we hear somebody run down the hall? Eve, put that down! What did I tell you? You little moron! Did you have any? What did I tell you? I told you don't eat that. Can't you remember anything? Adam, did you have some? You two people get in here. You're both grounded. Move it. Get in here. What did I tell you? Don't eat the fruit. Why did you eat it? Well, my friend told me. Who are you going to listen to, me or your stupid friends? Adam, why did you have some? Well, Eve had some. If Eve jumps off a cliff, are you going to jump off a cliff? Now, what's the matter with you people? Why do you think we told you that? It was important. Now get to your room. You're both grounded. And those silly fig leaves are stupid. Yeah. All right. Now, back out here for report. Why did you do that? I don't know. Why did you? I don't know. Don't tell me you don't know. You're supposed to know stuff you do. I know you was tricked. I know that. And I know you really didn't know better. So I'm going to let it go this time. But if you eat any more of that fruit, you're really going to die next time. Is that what we hear? Your word is your soul. It is your honor, your integrity. And if you say it, it must be true. We have got to be careful with what we say to set a good example for our children and not be sloppy with our mouth, but to let them know that if we say it, it's absolutely true. It's not an exaggeration. Like the dad says, I've told you 1,000,000 times not to exaggerate. All right, away we go. That's kind of an intellectual joke. All right. How many of you criticize your kids? Isn't that neat? Criticism. Criticism is people who will not forgive, who won't let things go. I've met with people, one woman in particular I can think of that is so nasty and so miserable. She had a divorce 10, 15 years ago now. And she's still nasty and miserable and hates that guy who did her wrong. She will never let go. And I talk to her and I say, well, you're trying to hang on to him with all your might. No, I'm not. I hate him. No, you're hanging on to him with your anger. You have got to let him go. Forgive him. Forgive him. I'm going to dance on his grave. He's going to sizzle in hell. Let it go. You've got to forgive him. Forgive him. I said, for your sake, Lady, flush the toilet and get on with your life. You go in there every day. Life is awful. I says, you're a miserable person. And don't come in here and puke all over my desk anymore. And don't come back till you've forgiven him for your sake. Does this make sense to anybody? Because you're stuck there. You're stuck in your anger. You're stuck in your criticism. And so people do this. Criticism poisons every relationship. There's no positive effect on behavior. You can't live with constant criticism. It's destructive influence on everybody. So stop criticizing. We have got to stop finding fault. There are all kinds of people like this. Some of us are dung sniffers. Criticism is rejection. Okay? Whenever I say criticism, I'm thinking of rejection. Constructive criticism, that's a lie. Some people say, well, I just want to help you. That's why I'm going to criticize you. Ha, ha, ha. Right? That's a contradiction in terms, constructive criticism. It's called an oxymoron, with the emphasis on moron. Okay? A contradiction in terms. Here's some more contradiction in terms. Jumbo shrimp. You ever heard of that? Uh-huh. Reasonable attorney fees. Is there any such thing? Congressional ethics. Give me a break. Family vacation. Mothers, is it a vacation for you, mothers? My daughter says, you all go. Daddy, you and the kids. No, talking to her husband. Daddy, you and the kids, and I'll stay home and suffer. I'll sacrifice. And she gets this bubble bath and a bunch of books out of the library. I gave her a present, $200. I says, go someplace and get a motel, lay out by a pool, and just enjoy yourself. And Mike will appreciate you more when you get back. She says, oh, Daddy, I couldn't do that. And then she got this wicked grin. She was out of there, got her hair done, her nails, all that goody stuff. Okay. Family vacation. Army intelligence, give me a break. Okay. And happily married. Okay. People who criticize are gloom and doom. They are unhappy and miserable people. They have been trained to be dung sniffers of the world. They go around sniffing for dung, looking for dung. They go through the pasture of life. There's dung. Well, I knew there was dung. There's more. There's dung. And their whole life is focused on dung. They have what we call dungy lives, okay? All right? And some people say, well, if you're ever going to criticize, you'll find this in some of your books. If you're going to criticize, sandwich it. You give a compliment, and then you give a criticism, and then you give a compliment afterwards. Like this. Sweetheart, your hair looks nice. You look like you weigh 500 pounds in that dress, but the purse is nice. That's a cow pie sandwich. If I give you a piece of bread and a cow pie and a piece of bread, are you really into that? No. We're not kidding anybody. Criticism is rejection. Now the big problem about this is that 90% of what our kids do is good. But we spend 90% of our time on the 10% that they don't. Is that true? If your kids bring home 6 A's and 1 C, what are you talking about in 10 minutes? The C, because we're dung sniffers. We're always looking for dung. There's the word dung. I'm so happy. It kind of makes us feel good. Look at all the dung you guys got. Then it makes me feel good. When I went through therapy, that was one thing. And then I started doing counseling. I found out you people were as tweaked as me. And that is really a great revelation. I feel wonderful about that. Okay. Focus on the what is good. Focus on what is really good about your kids, not what's bad. All right. What is it worth to you to stop criticizing? Can you stop criticizing? Is it possible? Yes, it is. It is possible. Let me tell you about this guy. This guy, I was in this place, and they said, you got to fix this guy. The wife says, I'm filed for divorce. I can't stand it anymore. I've lived with him for years and years. These kids are in their 20s, clear down to like 8. About 8 kids. And she says, I've got to leave while I can still leave. I have got to leave because I can't stand to live with this guy anymore. I just get weaker and weaker, and he gets stronger and stronger. He criticizes everything. Now, he came from a German background where his parents were that critical of him. And can't you always find something wrong with a room when your kid cleans it? Can't you always find something wrong with the paper? They could make it a little neater or do it a little sooner. You can always find something wrong. And that's what he did, and he thought that was his job. Now, he was a perfectionist. He was very, very wealthy, multimillionaire. And the wife says, you're here over the weekend. You fix him while you're here. Because I'm going through the filing the papers, and the divorce is going to be final. I'm going through with it this time. Now, they couldn't stand him because he was so critical. So I said, there's a way to handle this. I said, let's sit down. Do you want to lose your family? He said, no. I said, this is California. This multi-million-dollar house is going to be gone. Your kids are going to go. You're going to mess up everything if you don't stop this criticism. He says, I just do it to help everybody. I'm not really critical. They think I'm critical. They're just overly sensitive. Blah, blah, blah. And I says, look, pal, your wife's filing for divorce, and you're going to be out of here. You're going to come visit these kids over here at this house. And I said, I'm going to give you a little program. And this is one way to do it. I want you to get up in the morning and put 50 $1 bills in your pocket, just like this. And you put those in your pocket. And I'm going to train your family, and every single time you say something critical. And they are the sole judge. Because do these guys know how often they're critical? How cutting they are? How much they hurt? They don't. And if the kid says that was a criticism, and if they feel discounted, or you roll your eyes, or you discount what they say, or you insult them, or you criticize them, or what they're wearing, or anything about them, if you're critical at all, they're going to say, Daddy, that was one. And then you run over there, and you give them $1. And you have to smile when you do it. And you have to say, forgive me, sweetheart. That was a criticism, and you're a wonderful child. You get the sequence? They call him, Daddy, that was one. Then he runs over, I'm sorry, forgive me. You're a wonderful guy. Here, have $1. And you give him a hug and tell him 2 or 3 things about him, what's wonderful. Isn't that neat? And if you say, and if you're a little slow or look a little reluctant, they'll say, that's 2. And you say, here's 2. Is that a genuine smile, Dad? Yes. And the kid said, you mean you're kidding me? We're going to get money every time he criticizes? All right. Yes. We like this program. It says, by summer, we'll break this dude, man. He can't keep his mouth shut. So, yeah, I can. So we'll see. Because the second week, we go to $5 a pop. And the third week, it goes to 10. Now, this guy had a lot of money. You probably only go to $1 in your house. But if $1's not working, go to 5 or 3. And then we went to what? They make these in 20s. And they make these in 50s. And guess what? They make them in 100s. He's packing a rod around his hip. He's got a gun. He's got $5,000 in his shirt pocket. 50. But do you think he can keep his big mouth shut for $100 a pop? I'll tell you. Yeah, he can. My wife says, I heard about your stupid program. How come we can't do that? I says, honey, I don't want to take all your money. She thought about it a minute. She says, that's one. That's one. By the end of the day, she owed me a lot of money. I never heard any more about it. Do these people know when they're critical? Perfectionistic? And boy, these kids are just really, really going for it. We love it. We love it. And he's at the $10 time. And it's $10. And you hug him and tell him, I love you. I am sorry. Do you think this would work? I've had people tell me, oh, it works for us. It's wonderful. We don't have to do it anymore. Baloney. It's like the alcoholic who says, I've gone a whole week without drinking. I'm cured. No. Do you think people are addicted to criticism? They can't stand it unless they criticize. Do you believe me? You can be addicted to criticism. That's how you lower some of your anxiety. You can be addicted to a lot of things. All right. Frowning, not paying immediately, or saying I wasn't being critical, doubles the fee. I wasn't critical. That's 2, Papa. And you got to smile, Papa. Dad, I don't like that smile, Papa. And then the kids pretty soon, what are they doing? Dad, come in and inspect my room. Oh, I'm sure it's fine. They got that music up. Is this music too loud for you, Dad? No, it's just right. Thank you. Is he taking it in the teeth? Yes, he is. He's got a lot more coming, too. The wife says, I don't know why I stayed with him so long. I can't stand it. I don't know how much damage I've done to these kids. But it's got to stop. It will stop. Do it with 25 cents, 50 cents, or whatever works for you. But that's the concept. Do your children see you as mostly a critical, controlling parent? Or do they see you as a nurturing, loving parent? How do your children see you? Are you so involved with everything, taking over their lives, that they feel like you own it? And you know what I mean? They never can do enough. Are you a perfectionist? That's great. Thank you. Sorry. This is about abuse. Papa would hit us. He hurt my mom. I remember Mom with her arm twisted up behind her, pain on her face, and shoved in a bedroom. She wouldn't give Dad the keys. He wanted to go out and drink. I can remember those things. Kids know when you're not getting along. They know when you're fighting. They feel the insecurity. There are no secrets in a home. Your children will remember what you do.
ABC me crying, Mama make me smile, rock me in your arms a little while. ABC me crying, won't you love your child? EFG, I'm sorry, Daddy, take my hand. Tell me what I've done so bad. EFG, I wonder, why are you so mad? Don't you love me, Dad? Cross my heart, I swear, Mom, I won't cry no more. I'll just lay in silence down here on the floor. Cross my heart and hope to die if you don't want me anymore. 1, 2, 3 for you, Mom. I won't talk so loud. I won't laugh so hard. I'll shut my mouth. 1, 2, 3 for you, Mom. I won't make a sound. Do, re, mean and angry words are all I hear through my bedroom walls, Dad, loud and clear. Do, re, mi, I lie awake and shake with fear and wish I had no ears. Try to remember the child that once was you. Did you hide in the darkest corner of your lonely room and pray to God to help you through the long and lonely nights, afraid to holler, Mama, oh please come hold me tight. Go on and close your eyes, Mom. Take a little trip through time, Dad. Let it all come back to you. And give unto every child the love denied to you. And remember, the child will remember. And remember, the child will remember his whole lifetime too.
No more criticism. No more anger. No more rage. No more arguing. No more contending. No more put-downs. No more discounting by giving them the message that I've got to watch you every second, that you're not a trustworthy individual. No more of that. That's all terribly shaming to a child, terribly discounting, terribly destructive to their self-image. We cannot treat our children with disrespect and jerk them around and yank them around. That's done by frustrated parents who don't know any other alternative. People ask about timeout. And they say, you know, my daughter tells Christopher, Christopher, you stop that. You want to go to timeout? You want to go to timeout? She's asked him 100 times a day, do you want to go to timeout? The little guy has never said, yeah, I think it's a good idea. You know, I think I need to go to timeout. He never says that. All that is a warning. All that is a warning. And in the books you read that the timeout is supposed to be where you break the behavioral reinforcement. Whatever's being reinforced, you stop that reinforcement and you get him in timeout, etc. But there's a much bigger issue to timeout. And I want to talk to you about that. Timeout, of course, needs to be specific 2 to 5 minutes sometimes. But if you're sending your kid to timeout 50 times a day like Christopher, it's not working. And they need to stay in there a lot longer. I added the 6 months. That was kind of a thought. Okay. But you can see the things that we talk about. No communication, a neutral place. You set the timer, no bad time, and you clean up any mess, additional time for going, etc., etc. Timeout is a break, a pattern of behavior. That's true. But there's much more needed here. Now let me explain this. A timeout is a matter of boundary. The kid has been stinky, they're whining, they've been fighting all day or whatever it is, and you say, timeout, go to timeout. And you're doing it for a boundary reason. This is the basic principle behind, and I think you'll use timeout a lot better if you have this principle in mind, that this is the principle behind timeout. That if you want to be in my presence, you have to behave yourself. If you want to be in my presence, you cannot offend me. You cannot torture me. You cannot punish me. You cannot come over my boundary. This is where kids learn boundaries. And if you want to be here, I mean, we have cookies and I love you all the time. But when you're stinky, and as soon as you're stinky, I pick you up and put you in the timeout room. And you stay in there for a while. And it's not 1 minute or 2 minutes necessarily. Timeout is a break for mother too. You know what I mean? And so now the child comes back out. It might be 20 minutes. The child comes back out. Are you happy face now? And are we going to get along with everybody? Well, I don't know that. Go back in there a while. You just need to sweeten up, honey. You know, you need to sweeten up. In other words, you're not going to rain on our parade. Look at this. If more time is needed for repeated infractions, a child can be put in timeout for as long as needed. You know, till they're 18 or so. Okay. Obviously, that's not so. Then they are let out on probation for a time, but put back for extended periods of time if they misbehave again. Immediately. Not with all this warning. You want to go to timeout? You want to go to timeout? No. Those are all freebies. And every time we reward kids for their irresponsible behavior, we're teaching them to be irresponsible. A child needs to learn that they are welcome when they behave and are pleasant, but being a nuisance will not be tolerated. Being in your presence is pleasurable and a privilege. This is also a break from mom. Do you get the idea? That this, if you want to be with me, I don't have to put up with you. I do not have to put up with your abuse. I will not. Now, you don't drag the kid down the hall. You are respectful, and you love them, and you have unconditional love. That's one of the things we've got to get across. Unconditional love. That the child has to have unconditional love. Always. That your love transcends everything. But they're put in timeout. You can't abuse mama. You can't abuse dad. I will not have you talk to me that way. You cannot talk to me that way. I will not tolerate that. And you put them in the timeout. When they're little, you do it early, and you have the lock on the bathroom, you know, the bathroom lock type of thing. You have it on the hall side of the door so you can lock them in if they won't stay in. Some kids will give you a real fit. But they need to learn that they're picked up gently and with love and put in timeout when they're being stinky. They come out and you don't warn them 10 times. You don't get all upset about it. As soon as they're out of line again, say, oh, sorry, you don't hit your sister, and away you go. And that's what happens. Does this make any sense? It's not about putting them in timeout for 2 minutes 50 times a day. That is just a way to get attention. And it's a power thing. And Christopher goes into timeout and says, is it time yet? And they got this thing going back and forth. Is it time yet? No, it's not time. Christopher, I'll reset it. You're going to make it stand there longer. Is it time yet? And all he does is harass her all day until she got wise. Harassment, harassment, harassment. That kid is demanding attention. Remember, children demand strokes. They demand attention. And if you don't give them lots of good attention, they're going to get lots of bad attention. Remember, bad breath is better than no breath at all. And so they're going to take bad attention over no attention at all. Okay, functional behavior. Children are not dumb. They're very smart. They only do what works for them. They give up behavior that does not work. A behavior has a payoff. And a behavior that pays off is worth the effort. Behavior that does not pay off is abandoned. A good payoff. Now let's look at this. Why do kids whine and beg, fight and quarrel, ditch chores? In some homes and in other homes they act pleasant, they're kind, they work hard, they cooperate, they earn and save, they defer gratification. Why? Why there's two differences in two homes? Because there's two different rewarding schedules. There's two different environments. Kids act one way at school, they act another way at church, they act another way at home, they act another way on the playground. They learn what the rules are. When there's two families involved, where there's a divorce or something, they learn what the rules are here, they learn what the rules are here. Children adapt, they're survivors. And if children are stinky and lazy and ornery in your home, it's because that kind of behavior pays off at some level for them, or they would abandon that behavior. Do you believe me? And if it pays to be sweet and work and cooperate and pay for your clothes and earn, they do that. Because that's what they have learned to do. Then why do some kids whine and beg? Because kids do whatever pays off. And it's that simple. In the next segment, we're going to talk about how to motivate the child, how to build an environment that will internally establish internally that motivation, so the child will want to study. They will want to get along. They'll want to do their work. Your kids will actually be coming to you and asking for more work to do around the house. Do you believe that? People, we've got to treat these children as treasures. Charity is greater than love. I know that sometimes our children know that we love them, but do they really feel that we treasure them, that we cherish them, that they are honored, that they're really truly our treasures, that they're the center of our lives, that our family is the center of our life? Or are we so concerned about school and this, that, and the other, that we're hammering on all these kids all the time? Do they get the message that we disapprove? Do they get the message that no matter what they seem to do, it's never quite enough? What's coming across? Our disapproval or our love, our deep, deep, unconditional cherishing? Is that what's coming across? What is the key to influencing a child's behavior? What is the one word more than anything else that influences behavior? Consequences. Consequences, the anticipated consequences of a behavior. That's the first principle of power. It's the first principle of action in all people and even animals. It's all the same. The anticipated consequence. A mother rushes into a building and saves her burning child and is burned herself. Does this rule still hold true? Yes, it absolutely does. Pleasure or pain? All living organisms prefer pleasure over pain. Therefore, whenever we act, we are either avoiding what we think will be painful or seeking what we believe will be pleasurable. Some psychologists believe strongly that everything we do is either to obtain pleasure or to avoid pain. We seek happiness and seek to avoid unhappiness. It's just that simple. And that's a very, very powerful principle. That's why we act. That's why we move. The anticipated consequence. All right. The key to behavioral management. Is it reasoning? Is it threatening? Is it scolding? Just being patient, rescuing, raging, nagging? What is it? The word is what? Consequences. So we set up an environment of consequences. Now some people say, well, what if you administer consequences and they still go to the rock concert? After you've told them not to. Well, then there are punishments. There are consequences for that. But consequences teach that life has consequences. Consequences do not always control. Punishment, more than anything else, sometimes works to deter behavior. When that punishment is strong and that kid knows if I do it, I'm going to get punished and I don't want that pain, whatever it is, loss of the car for the prom or whatever that pain might be, when they think there's going to be pain, they will weigh the cost and take the risk. And if sometimes they get away with it, they will gamble if the odds are good. But when that pain is administered in some form of punishment or consequence, now they can't go. They've lost their chance to go to Disneyland or whatever it is because they have not done what they should do. When they know that pain is going to be there, they know that punishment is going to be there, it has a deterring effect. And sometimes only punishment works. Other things do not. Consequences do not. But now consequences are important. And this one lady was 80 years old, and she was learning about consequences still. And so she went, and she was lonely. She went to the pet store to buy a pet so that she wouldn't be so lonely. And as she went to the pet store, she saw this beautiful bird. It was like a $5,000 parrot. She says, I've got to have that bird. The guy said, you can't have that bird. I've sold him, and everybody brings him back because he's got such a filthy mouth. He was raised by a sailor that retired from the Navy and then went into trucking. And so he had a real bad mouth, okay? And so you can't, I'll give him to you, lady, if you'll take him, because he's contaminating the other birds that are learning bad words. And so you take him. You can't bring him back. I'll give him to you free. Eat him, sell him, let him go, throw him out, cook him, whatever you want, but do not bring him back. She says, I'll take him. She said, but he's got a bad mouth. I'm warning you up front. She says, I can handle that. I'm a school teacher. For 40 years I taught school. I know how to handle that. So she said, I'm warning you. So she took him home. She put him in the window, and some little girls walked by the next day, and the bird swore at him. Oh, you dirty little blah, 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 blah. And the little girls cried and ran off. So she ran over there. She grabbed that bird. She says, don't you ever do that again. Does schooling work? Reasoning work? You made those little girls cry. That was a terrible thing to do. The bird just goes. He's not paying any attention to her. Words don't mean anything. They're just right off his back. So don't ever do that again. So she let it go that day. But when you don't do something and you don't take action, you can guarantee it's going to happen again because you've reinforced that behavior. They've felt their power. Is that true? All right, so now what happens? The next day she put him back in the window. She warned him, don't you dare say anything, you nasty little bird, or you'll be sorry. Does he care? Just words mean nothing. Mean nothing. The girls walked by, so out comes this dirty word again. Oh, dirty little bird, oh, no, no. It was twice as loud, twice as dirty, and this time he did it in her voice. She ran over there, she grabbed that bird. You rotten little bugger, I'll kick you, and the phone rang. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. So she didn't know what to do with him, so she went over to the icebox, opened up the freezer part, and shoved him in the freezer, and slammed the door. Then she went back to the thing. Oh, hi, man, well, yeah. And she talked people for 55 or 60 minutes. And that tropical bird is in the freezer. A penguin would be okay, but not the... Okay, and then she finally got through. She hung up. And as soon as she hung up, her brain kicked in. Oh, the bird. She ran over to the thing and opened it up, and he's all frosty and white. Oh, and he's just about froze solid. Oh. She felt really bad, so she picked him up and put him over on the stove where the pilot light was, a little warmth there, And she's really worried about it. He's got frost all over him, and there's ice dripping off his nose. Oh. And she says, did you learn your lesson? Do you know what consequences are? Do you know who runs this house? Or am I going to have any more trouble with you, bad mouth? No. Do you understand who runs the place? Do you have any questions, dirty bird? One question. What's your question? He says, what did the turkey do? That turkey was in bad shape. He did not want to make that mistake that the turkey made. Consequences, not words. Does this make sense? Consequences. My son David would not make his bed. Wouldn't make his bed. I said, make your bed. He says, no, Dad, I just mess it up every day. I says, you make it, Dad. He says, it's 7 o'clock at night, Dad. I said, it's a matter of principle. Your mother's on my case. Now you got to make this bed. He says, why? And I says, I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me either, but make it. He says, I don't want to make the bed. I'll just mess it up again. I says, okay. Next morning he gets up. He comes down for breakfast. He says, where's breakfast? I said, we don't have it anymore. He says, how come? I says, you'll just get hungry again. He says, Dad, I'll make my bed. I says, smart boy, I'll fix breakfast. You see, you just have to explain it. See, we put our boys in the Marine Corps right out of high school. 6 months attitude adjustment. They go through basic training. Boot camp, they call it. He hasn't been able to make a bed in 18 years. But this sergeant in a green uniform just explains it different. And he makes his bed. Attitude adjustment. Consequences, you get the idea? Talk is cheap. Talk means I don't mean it. You act. You move. Consequences. That's the key. An environment of consequences. When they do something, there is a consequence. Not talk, not warning, not threats. Consequences. She said, I do. I turn it off. They turn it on, I turn it off. Turn it on, I turn it off. Turn it on, turn it off. I says, that's all that's happening? That's not a punishment. That's not a consequence. All you can do is wear out your TV switch. He says, you think about it. So she came back next time. And she reported, we got it sold. I says, share. She says, okay, I went home. And the next morning, I didn't say anything. I didn't jump up and holler all morning. Everybody's late for work, and late because we have to take kids to school. And they're late, and they're dragging. I didn't say anything. The older ones left. I stood at the front door. Love you, bye. Then when it got time for the young ones to get in the car, and they weren't ready, I got in and drove off. They're running down the street with their shoes in their hand, running down the street. Mother doesn't care. Bubba loves you. Bubba loves you. Well, as a matter of fact, she says, it did work, and let me share. She says, I went home the next morning, I didn't say anything, and the TV went on. Everybody was late, like I said. And then the kids came home, and the TV was gone. They said, where's the TV? I said, it's gone. How come it's gone? Well, the guy at parenting says the most important thing is have a good relationship with your children. And if anything gets in the way of a good relationship, get rid of it. TV's gone. So how long is this gone? Because we have a rule in the morning it's not supposed to go on. Well, how long is it gone? It's gone for a week. It's gone for a week. I didn't know. Susan, I don't never mind. It's gone. Mama loves you. Now, Mama's gotten dangerous. Mama's not upset. Guess who's upset? See, it used to be you were crying and they were laughing. Now they're crying and you're laughing. Things are going great, right? Dad comes home and says, where's the TV? Mama says it's gone. And the kids say, turn it on, it's gone for a week. Dad goes into withdrawal. A week. Says, yeah, and a week goes by. Mama says, now we got a rule about TV. Who knows about it? If it goes on more, it's gone for a week. No, it's gone for a week the first time. The second time, it's 30 days. Dad goes, no, wait a minute. Do you think those kids can discipline each other? You hear that TV go on one morning, 6 people jump on that poor clown. Mama just smiles. See, the first time Mama's standing at the door, goodbye, sweethearts, love you. What's Mama smiling about? What's she smoking? What's this? Loves you. All right, you get the idea? Logical consequences when you put the kid out of the street. You don't want that natural consequence of getting run over, right?